Well, JD's got another story I just thought of. This ought to go under office humor. Most of my time working in the office, I had an office to myself, and part time I had a another draftsman sitting opposite me, and we had two to an office. But in 1961, I got transferred to Houston, and I was in a pool where there was like 6 or 8 draftsmen in one office. Now, this is altogether different than I'd ever been with. This is kind of like you see in the movies where a bunch of draftsmen sitting in a large room, and all humped over working. Well, in the Houston office, there was a bunch of guys, a bunch of draftsmen in the room that the only humped over working when the boss was looking. We were underworked. I know when I first got there, they gave me a job to do, which was a very menial task, way below my pay grade. I was a senior draftsman, and I was the only one in the whole pool that was a senior draftsman. That was kind of an outstanding promotion I had. Nobody believed I deserved it, I guess, so they put me to revising maps, which was, I had a certain number of counties that I had to bring up to date each week. And the first week, about noon Wednesday, I got through, and I said, well, now what I do? And all the other draftsmen looked up and said, you through? I said, yeah. Well, you're supposed to make that last till Friday. You're going to make us all look bad. Oh, you got to do with tomfoolery or something to fill in the next rest of the week. Well, one of the things we had was to keep busy. The humor was somebody was always pulling a practical joke on somebody else, and it was going on all the time. We had a fellow that sat just behind me, facing the way I did. He kept a box of Chickletts, and Chickletts, if you don't know, because I don't see them around anymore, but they were little bitty, just a little bitty deals of chewing gum with a candy coated, and you pop one of those, and that was kind of chewing gum. The trouble is, they had another product called Phenament, which was a laxative, and it looked exactly like the Chickletts, only it came in a different box, and you bought it at a different place in the drugstore. Well, this guy sitting right behind me, I can't remember his name now, but he was kind of neutral personality. He kept a box of Chickletts up there by his side, on top, just past the work area. And we got another fella that every time he'd get up to go to the restroom, he'd stop by and get him a couple of Chickletts out of this other fella's box. And soon, of course, the other fella, he wouldn't say anything. No, but soon as this fella that left had borrowed the Chickletts, soon as he's out of sight, he says, I wish he'd quit doing that. Wish he'd buy his own Chickletts. He's always eating money. I said, well, teach him a lesson. What? I said, why don't you go down there to the drugstore and get a box of Phenament and take your Chickletts and put them in the Phenament box. Take all the Phenament out and put in the Chicklett box, and put the Chickletts in all the Phenament box, and then put the Phenament box in your desk drawer, and leave those Phenaments in the Chicklett box laying up here. See what happens. See what happened? We started something that almost ended in a disaster. So the guy comes by. Next day, the Chickletts are in the drawer, and the Phenaments are up there on top, and he comes by. I got to go to the restroom, so he picks up take a couple of Chickletts with him, only with Phenament. He took 2 laxative pills and went to the restroom. Well, he comes back. He hadn't been back about an hour, still before lunch. And he said, I think I got to go to the restroom again. So he goes, and he gets a couple more Chickletts. Only they weren't Chickletts, they were Phenaments. And he takes 2 more laxative pills, and he goes to the restroom. He come back. Oh man, I'm not feeling good, guys. I'm not feeling good at all. What's the matter? Everybody acted dumb. What's the matter? I got the bellyache. Well, maybe I ought to go see medical. They're on another floor. This was in the old Humble building there in Houston. Before they got the new Humble building. This is the old one. So he goes down some 2 or 3 floors down to a medical, because we had our own medical department. He went down there and told them he had belly cramps and diarrhea. So they gave him some stoppers. Guess what? On the way back, he gets a couple more Phenimans. He didn't make it back after. He came back after lunch, and he said, I got to go home. My belly feels like there's a war going on. A war. Those Phenimans were fighting with the stoppers. And the end result, he had to take the rest of the day off and go home. And we decided maybe that, and by this time we were afraid to tell him what's happening. But they finally got nerve up to tell him what was happening. And he, of course, was incensed. Well, that's terrible, terrible. You don't do guys that way. Well, it's a wonder I didn't have appendicitis or something, have to go to the hospital now, have an operation. It's, that's not funny. That ain't funny. Well, it might not have been funny to him, but it's plenty fun of us, and he quit borrowing the Chickletts. That was the end of the Chicklett trade. Well, that was Houston humor. I wonder if there's something else. Oh yeah. I'll tell you one more. The guy facing me was Billy Joe Walker. I remember his name because he was the younger brother of the pilot. When I got in aviation, I was flying with Dub Walker, Billy Joe's older brother. And Billy Joe was a character. So was his older brother, but Billy Joe was a character. The little girl came by one day and she's handing out paychecks. Payday. She's maybe a new girl. I don't know. Everybody down there was new to me, and she's handing out paychecks, and I'm sitting there facing Billy Joe. He and I are like this, drafting tables. And he opened his up, and he said, he looked at it because everybody had to check it. They know what they're making, but they got to check the paycheck. He opened his pay stub and he said, golly, I never got this much before in my life. Wait a minute. Hey, Kepnick, this is your paycheck. This ain't mine. This is my... How come you get so much more money than I do? We're both just draftsmen. How come... Well, oh boy. Well, and all of a sudden it dawned on him. Two guys, both classified as draftsmen, both doing the same work, and Kepnick, he's making more than Billy Joe. And Billy Joe ain't going to let that lie. He's got to go and demand reasoning. I found out later he was always going to the management and demanding reasoning or something, that he's being short-sighted. Well, the end result was the little girl didn't bring her paychecks by anymore. She done handed out the wrong paycheck. There's stuff goes on in the office all the time.